Hi, this is Jamie from Concert Addicts. A couple weeks back, I was lucky enough to sit down with Jason Parsons, aka Human Kebab, from Ubiquitous Synergy Seeker. You may know them better as USS. Here's our interview that was conducted at the Commodore Ballroom in Vancouver. Take a listen.
I'm just going to say USS because I know if I try to say Ubiquitous...
Oh, yeah, no, we do USS so as to not confuse people anyway.
Yeah, it's not that I just, if I try to say it, I'm going to say, like, something else.
Because when we first got onto radio and we were Ubiquitous Synergy Seeker, we found that, like, radio DJs were saying ubiquitous.
Yeah.
And then we realized, like, and then people started chanting USS at shows because of our banner.
It just worked.
So we're just like, okay, well, we're one of those rare bands where we can flip to an acronym from our full form.
Yeah, because like when I first heard of you guys on the radio, they said Ubiquitous Sound System, and I was like, oh, that's like LCD sound system. Like, I get that, yeah. And then I looked it up and I couldn't find anything about it. But then I looked up USS and I found you, and like this is years ago.
Yeah.
You know? So, but it was funny to see. But yeah, I would. It's just trying to say it. I know that I would get tongue-tied and just be like...
It was even funny, last Sunday we did hometown hockey in Edmonton for Rogers Sportsnet, and when Ron McLean introduced us, he introduced us as Ubiquitous Synergy Seeker, and he referred to me as Human Kebab, and I almost shit my pants.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I looked up online about the Human Kebab, and that was just your, I guess, stage name for when you were doing...
I did when I was at university and I studied Vlad the Impaler in History 120. That's where I got onto the funny concept of Human Kebab.
Yeah.
But then when I was in like two different punk bands, I was scratching for punk bands, and the local promoter in Peterborough, Ontario, at our university, he had a rap show coming through. And rather than have me DJ it, which he would get me to do all the time, he said, why don't you start a rap group to open for these guys? And so I started writing songs. And he's like, well, what do you want to call it? My DJ name back then was DJ Oven and Stove.
Yeah.
So stupid. And then he said, why don't you just call it Human Kebab? And I was like, yeah, okay.
That works.
And here we are.
That's
2017 in Van City, man.
Yeah, fucking, how long ago was that? Like, about...
That would have been the winter of 2003.
Jeez, so we're going on almost 15 years.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy. It's crazy to see that longevity, and now you're just talking about it as some story. You know, back in the day, and it's just sort of progressed all the way here. All this hard work and stuff. It's
well,
nuts.
I mean, like patience is a big part of it too, right?
Yeah.
And like a career in entertainment, and more specifically music, it can seem like it would be the greatest thrill ride, but there's like so many trials and tribulations, ups and downs, low points, like quiet, time away. And it's just like a real exercise in patience. Like, do you have what it takes to be available all the time, but to also sit on your hands?
Yeah, sometimes it's not the right time to do this. You got to wait 3 months until it's going to fit better with whatever's going. Yeah,
absolutely.
That makes total sense.
And maybe that's the true testament to those that stay in it, that are successsul at it. Understand that it just doesn't happen
they
overnight.
ebb and flow with the whole thing.
Exactly.
They take the downtime when they need it. And that totally makes sense.
Yep.
So you guys are touring behind your second studio album, not your real second album though, because you guys have released two in between that were just EPs in quotations, because they're almost the same.
Yeah.
They're just pretty much albums. So New World Alphabet, which was just released last month.
Yes.
Right. So how you've done a whole batch of shows last month and this month. How have those, have you been integrating the full album into those sets, or a good portion of those songs into the sets? Or have you, how have those been received? The whole thing, the whole new album coming.
We tend to be creatures of habit when it comes to our live show, and we like to play what we know is going to work well live. Obviously, when you have a single, you have to go out and perform the single no matter what. But when it comes to releasing a new album and then touring, consequently, we've been finding that we slowly want to ease the new material onto crowds, because a lot of people that are coming out to see us, we feel, there's people that have found us now because of work shoes, and there's people that are coming that heard of us from Yin Yang onwards, and and then there's like the diehards that were there for like Weldon the Sea, Drive Questimation, but then there's also the era of approved people that heard Yo Hello Ray and NAOK, and like, so having said that, every time we release new music, we try to test the waters here and there when we have the right opportunity. Like, we did 6 shows in a row in Toronto in November.
6 and the 6.
6 and the 6.
Yeah.
And we did Alien off our new album.
Okay.
Because we were like, you know what, Alien is, we love that song. It's all energy. It's raw. It's got like a 2-step drum and bass style beat to it, like where we came from. And it just didn't seem to hit the way that we thought it would live. And that was just a combination of having never played it before and no one had ever heard it because it wasn't out yet.
Okay.
Maybe if we played it now in Vancouver, people would know it.
Yeah.
Or maybe we wait till the summertime.
Yeah.
You know?
So you just that makes more sense instead of trying to, I guess, force feed it. Just, hey, we got a new album, so that's all we're going to play. You're sticking with what you know, and then you're just integrating and seeing what works and keep building your show as a separate entity from everything
because
else.
people only really operate on one gear when it comes to seeing bands. Like, you know, I went and saw Our Lady Peace and I Mother Earth in the fall back in Oshawa, Ontario.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I saw OLP where they just played all the hits.
Yeah.
And it was like, boom. I was like, whoa. I know all these songs.
I know every word to every song.
But it was genius because that's what people come for. Like, they come for the songs that they listen to on YouTube, Spotify, their iPod, their iPhone, in their car, on the radio, whatever.
Yeah.
They want to hear those songs, and they want you to deliver them in a way that like they couldn't get from a recording.
Yeah, and then you get the the diehard fans, like you said, who are early along. They're looking for the occasional deep cut, something that you haven't played in a year, and you cut it in there or cut whatever.
Yeah,
that's a great way to look at it.
Totally.
Yeah,
totally.
That makes sense. It's part of the machine. It's part of the keeping along.
Yeah, and it's just like we're an energy band too. So I mean, like we want to keep the energy up. Like we have moments that are, could be perceived as rather somber, but those are moments where like Ash will do our song Kit. Yeah. And it's just his moment, which is so important to our band that it can go from a mosh pit to like a hug.
Yeah. And it's just turning things down, but it's still connecting with them. Totally different way. It's not the energy, but it's just that, the sort of the emotional tie to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Emotionally connect everybody. That's pretty fucking awesome. You said you tried integrating a couple songs. Out of all the songs on the new album, what have you found to be your favorite to perform live so far?
We're actually really getting a kick out of playing Who's With Me.
Oh, really?
And I mean, not only is it our new single, but it's cool because that song, it's like Ash and I are both singing throughout the whole entire 3.5 minutes. Yeah. And just like watching like how people are reacting to it, and like we knew that we were rolling the dice in a different direction when we wrote and recorded that song. We did that in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
And but like live, like people are just like so into it. They're singing, they're dancing, and it's like I don't know. It's kind of become this like sleeper hit for us. Like we look forward to playing it every night.
Did you guys record the whole album in LA?
No,
or just some songs?
So we lived in Los Angeles for a month and a half.
Okay.
Winter 2016, and we basically wrote what would become the first half of the album. So Work Shoes, Who's With Me, Domino, California Medication.
Domino. Okay. Yeah, perfect. That's all. And then you came back and recorded the rest in Toronto, or?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So basically, like we went down there to write with some collaborators, and then we brought back the raw goods to our producer
to finalize, put it together.
Yeah, Todd Salter. We went down to his Tackle Box studio in Fort Erie, Ontario.
Nice.
And just slugged it out, and he liked what he heard, and we went with those songs. And then the other 4 songs, Us, Alien, Vulcan, and Broken Smile, Ash and I composed in Toronto in the winter, in the summer, in the fall. And I think, like to us, we can kind of hear it because
it feels different.
Yeah, and especially for Ash, like he was he has his ups and downs, and he was in a bit of a valley when we were working on those songs, and I think it kind of comes out in the music.
Oh yeah,
because the first half of the album is all sunny and fun, and like
and then it gets emotional,
and then it gets like
I can
really,
totally see that turn, and then
totally.
LA to Toronto, there's a more
absolutely
yeah,
it's like night and day.
It's literally night and day.
Literally, yeah.
As a band, you guys have made like you said, you're a high energy band. You've become known for that. Crazy antics on stage. I think the first time I saw you guys, or the time I saw you guys live, I think you were doing a handstand on stage while playing. Just crazy stuff like that. Keeping everything's just chaotic. What would you say like the artist or band that inspired you the most for that type of performing? Or maybe it's not that type of performing, but just the artist or band that inspired you to perform the way you perform?
It's a combination of For me, metalcore. Yeah. Like Converge is like one of my favorite bands of all time, and like that singer is just, he's all over the stage, he's screaming, he's jumping around, he'll go into the crowd. At the drive-in, Rage Against the Machine, Deftones, in hip-hop, Gangstar.
I can see the Deftones total correlation there.
Oh,
yeah.
Gangstar and hip-hop, like my favorite rap group growing up, Public Enemy, Alexis on Fire.
Yeah.
In Ash's case, he's always been a big 80s pop guy.
I can see that. I can see the like, I don't want to say more like soul felts, like brooding maybe, his performance style, and you're more like in your face, tied into the music, tied to the beat, just riding it the whole way.
Yeah, like Ash, night in and night out, definitely channels his inner Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
You can hear it in the chords and the way he sings, and it always inspires me, because the first time I saw Ash play, he was like all over the stage crazy guy, like wearing antennas and jumping off of a ladder, and like barely could keep his guitar in tune. And but he reminded me of like a scientist, funny, quirky, like Beck meets Cobain.
Okay.
And I was immediately drawn to it, and that's why we formed our band.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like some crazy energy. It seems like he's still energetic on stage, but that seems the type of chaos that you sort of more...
Yeah.
You assume that role of that chaos now.
Well, it's funny, because in our evolution, like when we first got onto the radio, and we were like, wow, like we're actually a band now. Like we have to go out and do this for a living. We were also still trying to figure out how to play live properly. And it just slowly emerged that I kind of defaulted into this like MC, like hype man, like extrovert DJ role, because in lieu of me holding a bass guitar or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I just comfortably have fallen into that craziness.
That's great. It's funny that you would see that in Ash and appreciate that, because then now you like, that's probably, correlates to why you're like that, because that's what you appreciated in him at the time.
Yeah.
It's pretty wicked to see. But it's interesting you say all the metalcore, because you can definitely see that. Even though the sound of lots, I mean, I can even see it in some of the songs. There's the sound correlation there too. There's definitely, that metalcore sort of, or, you're talking about Deftones. You can see it in your music.
Right.
You
cool.
But you would never say this band is a metalcore band at all.
Yeah.
But you can see that there's like an influence there.
We've had like hardcore guys, like guys in hardcore bands come up to our shows, and even like metal dudes like Protest the Hero, Silverstein.
Oh jeez.
And like we've done shows with them, like just because we've been on the same festival lineup, and they'll play before us, and it's like people doing the craziest stuff in the crowd, and we're like, wow, how are we gonna top this? And then we come out, and we completely complement their like technical skills and their energy.
That's awesome.
The frenzy,
Yeah.
But
that's pretty wicked. In talking about touring again, you guys have toured with a ton of great bands. Headley, Mother, Walk Off the Earth. Have any of those interactions resulted in any sort of collaborative work? I remember I tried to dig a little bit, and I found there was one where Walk Off the Earth was at the 2013 Caspi Music Awards, and you guys joined them for, I can't remember what song it was, but has there been anything, have you guys gotten together with any of those bands, or,
Yeah, funny enough,
we've
done, we wrote with Johnny and Ryan Marshall of Walk Off the Earth last winter in Manhattan Beach. Because Ryan of Walk Off the Earth lives in Manhattan Beach, so we went down there and wrote a couple of songs with them, which we could go back and, poke and prod and maybe reinvestigate, like, when we start working on our next album. Nice. And then we actually came up to Vancouver winter 2015, and we worked on songs with Ryan Goldemont of Mother.
Yeah.
And he's become a very dear friend of ours, and he's an absolute beast of talent in his own right.
Yeah.
And we have some unfinished business with him with those songs. Like, they could definitely see the light of the day.
That's pretty
on a USS record.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Totally. So those tours yield some good friendships, good relationships.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool to see that. Going on tour isn't just it's not just a musical thing. You're experiencing something that's sort of a family, I guess.
Yeah.
You become kind of pretty tight that way. Talking about your guys' career has steadily climbed over the years. You guys have, you've built this intense fan base. You've worked steadily at just growing yourselves. It hasn't been this like instantaneous star shot up in the air. You guys have just built fans and worked all your way up. Have there been any moments where you've just sort of been standing somewhere and taken a step back and go, holy shit, we're here, we're at this moment. It's hard to believe. Like, do you have any specific memories like that?
Yeah, like last weekend we played in Edmonton at the Shaw Conference Center there, and that was the biggest show of the tour. I think there was 2,300 people there.
Jeez.
And it was crazy to think that in August of 2008, we played our first Edmonton show to 80 people on White Ave. And then we've literally played every venue you can play in Edmonton.
Just like this.
Like, we even played Rexall Place when we opened for Headley, and like that was a big milestone because, that's where Gretzky set all his records. And the Oilers won 5 Stanley Cups and blah, blah, blah. And standing in the Shaw, looking at the stage when we were about to take it last Saturday night was just like such a milestone to think that like over 2,000 people in Edmonton like bought a ticket and came out to support.
Knew who you were, appreciated it, put their money out to come see
and
you
like
live.
and they were singing the songs, and like even just like when I would jump off stage and I would interact with the crowd, like like young like girls screaming, and it's just like, how did this go from my parents' basement in Stouffville, Ontario back in 2005 to screaming now in my ear?
Yeah.
And then that many people showing up, and people are so excited for us. Like, we feel like our fans take some ownership in like our success because they're just like, I was there in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, I have a Yo Hello Ray tattoo, or like I heard Hollow Point Sniper Hyperbole before you did.
Jesus.
And it's like, it's the same thing as like how when Justin Bieber blew up on YouTube, part of why I think he was so popular is because he was in the face of the camera playing songs to people, and they thought
personal.
Yeah, they felt like young kids felt like he was singing to them.
Oh yeah.
And so they just his early fan base, like, no wonder he's on every T-shirt of Walmart.
Yeah.
Because everybody feels like they know him.
They grew up with him for like that, whatever. It was like almost like a year or two before he. I remember seeing him on Ellen when he was like, oh, this guy. There was like a clip on the internet. This little kid from Canada, and he's playing songs, and just everybody felt like the whole crowd loses their mind.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that, but I think obviously that's pop music, so it's kind of fleeting. You have a fan base that is instantly gratified by them, and then as they get older, that fan base just moves with them. With somebody like you, with you guys, you have such a broad range of songs, and you have such your live shows. Like, I think any band that has a live show like you guys will always have a crazy fan base because you never just go out there and just phone it in. Right? You're not just some shoegaze band that's sitting there playing perfect chords. It's always emotional and raw, and that's what I see when I see you guys play. And
that's
I think
awesome, man.
When I talk to other people that appreciate you, it's funny that you mentioned people. Oh, I saw them back then. I saw that. That's what I hear from the people that I talk to. They're always like, oh yeah, I bought this album, and I've been listening to. I was the one that showed him who showed you.
That's awesome.
Everybody's sort of one upping because they, it's like this sort of hidden secret. But it's awesome to see like Commodore. It's well deserved.
Thank you, dude. Very much.
Fucking awesome.
Oh, this is great.
The only last thing I have to ask is something we ask everybody. Do you have any lesser known, maybe underrated artists? Doesn't have to be music, could be painter, writer, anything that you think people should check out, that you're into, you're inspired by, and you think you should shine the light on them and see?
Yeah, Ash and I have a very dear friend of ours in Los Angeles named Joe Petrillo, and he's actually on Instagram as art, and he does a lot of like, I guess the way to describe them would be like watercolor paintings, and he actually did one to our song Yin Yang and mailed it to me, and it's in my house hanging on my wall, and it's inspiring to think that I met this guy in a hotel lobby 2 years ago, and he came up to me right away. He could tell that I was an artist, and he said that artists are here to save the world, like bands, music, and
pretty intense.
And he went home and he made that painting. He shipped it to me, and he still paints, and he's part of a blossoming, flourishing art community in LA, and he's definitely someone to watch out for because he's right into like his own brand of art and he just has such a good soul and just a good person that like connects people, and he appreciates like the little things under the surface that most people overlook.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have to you. I really appreciate your time.
Wicked, man. Thank you so much, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's go get a pic in front of the thing.
For sure.
Yeah.